Hello everyone, I hope you've been enjoying the NEP Scholar Programme so far. This is the last video I'm going to make in the chapter. So far we've covered principles of training, things that we always stick by. We've talked about energy systems, 3 energy systems. We've talked about what workouts do leading on from that and how we kind of build training. And you've also seen me put a video in the main group in terms of like how training blocks work and how our pick sessions and then build them and how it all links in together and how you periodize that type of training and from your S&C as well. Today I'm going to talk about understanding the athlete, which is a very big question. I'm going to kind of talk about psychological side, individual differences, genetics, how everyone's so different and what different types of people react to from my experience so far after 7 years of coaching and being in the sport 16 years now. I'm a fairly young coach, but I feel like I've been involved in sport quite heavily for what seems like forever. Especially, with NEP, it's like a 7-day-a-week thing, isn't it? And so many athletes of different demographics. You learn so much and you learn really quick. And as I've been saying in the group, like the last few months, we've learned an enormous amount. It's been a really good block, as shown by the results. But in terms of just like learning about how things work even more, and I've been involved in the science for like a long time, since I was kind of maybe 12, 13. I've been interested in the science of running. So I've had kind of 13 years of that. But we keep evolving, and you never have it all worked out. But it's really cool to be linking the dots together. So anyway, I'm going to talk about understanding the athlete from a coach's point of view, and maybe this might help yourself in terms of understanding yourself better. These are some of the things that I would consider when an athlete comes to Northeast Project in terms of getting the most out of them. Now, you can get the most out of everyone, and I mean this is a principle. Like not everyone wants to be the best they can be. Now, I like to imagine in my head that everyone that comes to this club wants that. But I have to admit, not everybody wants that. But they still want the science and the training and the groups and the culture that we offer. So, we can help those people out still, but we haven't got to spend too much time on them because there's a lot of people that want the extra and those are willing to pay the price, which is kind of the first question I ask people and want to know about the athlete. And it's what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, but it's what do you want? How much do you want it, and how much are you willing to sacrifice to get it? And it's a very it makes you think when you ask those 3 questions. Some people say, they want to go to the Olympics. How much do they want it? They want it more than anything in the world. How much do you want to sacrifice? I'll sacrifice absolutely everything. Well, that's great. That's easy. That's easy to work with, but it's a long journey ahead. Some people, running might not be their main thing in their life at this moment in time. But it's important to be clear with the coach and to be clear with yourself of what you want, how much you want it, where's the priority in your life, and how much are you willing to sacrifice in a given week on week, to get what you want. It's really important that you and the coach and the communication between you is very clear on that. Otherwise, there's going to be frustrations ahead. 2 I've wrote down is what have they got going on in their life and how much can you influence that. That's the second thing I would think about. And what I mean by that is, well, if someone's extremely busy and they're not quite bought into the program, you're not gonna change the athlete that much. So but you have to understand you don't need to put night and days into them, and those understand that as well. But they want a bit of attention, and you want to develop them a little bit. Have they got so much time for running? And have they got the space in their life and the willingness to go forward, and they want to listen, they really want to listen, and those are great to work with, and those are, I guess, the people that we spend the most time on, because we're going to see the most change and they're going to develop into really high levels. Third thing I've put about is in terms of individual differences is genetics. So when you look at people, I mean, without getting kind of testing done, but testing's great, there's themes you can tell straight away just by looking in terms of observing the training, what they're doing, looking when they're running, how they react to sessions. There's some things you can take note in. How they move, I've got is the first one. So some people just move really efficiently. Some people it's a little bit harder, and that side you need to work on a bit more from a biomechanical point of view. Their ability, what's the kind of starting point in terms of like when they first started running. Maybe you could ask these questions or to yourself, like how good were you without any training, and then how good were you with a little bit of structure. Did you improve a lot from not doing it, or are you a bit more of a slow burner, whereas you need a lot of work to see progress, but you can do a lot of work. And I've always been the slow burner type. I've always had to do loads and loads and loads of work to see any improvement, but at the same time I'm able to do a lot of work because my body is quite robust and it kind of likes training. So everyone's different in that. Like, it's talent is a word that gets chucked around, but what is talent? Because talent, being talented in some ways is like, you haven't trained much but you run really well. Okay, that can be talented, but also if you're able to put in a hell of a lot of work and absorb that work, not break down, that's also talent. So you have to consider that as well. Approaches to training in terms of what you react to. How do you react to different types of training? How do you react to speed training on the track? How do you react to hills? How do you react to long runs? How do you react to faster easy runs, easy runs? How do you react to strength training? All these different things. Everyone reacts differently, and what I'm looking at there is, I guess, the fast twitcher type to the slow twitcher type and everything in between. Fast twitchers react really well to speed training, hard reps. They need easy days with less volume. The long runs need to be slower and shorter. The more slow twitchers don't have a high force output, so they can't really produce the great speeds that the fast twitchers can, but they can do more of it. The anaerobic work needs to be smaller. They need to devote more time to kind of the tempo training and more the strength side of things and the endurance side of things. They can run longer and they can do the fast runs longer as well and bounce back the next day. It's kind of how you bounce back from the work, you can tell by that. So you've got to work out basically through a bit of trial and error as well over time, what works and what doesn't, and you've got to trial things out and look at how you react to things. This is why training diaries are so important. It's why feedback is so important. It's why feedback to your coach is so important, because you're building a picture about what you are as an athlete. I've put what you're motivated by. So you may react really well to hill training, but if you just you hate the idea of going out and doing hill reps or a hilly long run, well, if you're not going to get out the door and do it, like, we need to look at other ways to get through it. Most motivated people will do things that they don't want to do, and you should. But if an athlete isn't going to do it, or they might not enjoy the track environment, for example, that's very common. But you can do intervals on the road, and we can do it time-based instead of distance-based. So you got to look at what you're motivated by, and stick a lot of that into the week, because you're going to do it. You're going to keep doing it week on week if you're motivated, that's where the gains come from. Then I've put kind of previous injuries or niggles, and that changes how you train a lot. For example, myself, with Achilles problems in the last couple of years, I haven't touched the track much, but I do my intervals on the road, same kind of speeds and kind of producing similar results. I mean, I got back to a 65-minute half marathon after a year and a half, and the first 65 I ran in 2022, and I've come at it from completely different angles and got the same result. So there's different ways you can get to it. I used to train on the track every week. Now I haven't been on the track. I think I've been on the track once in 4 or 5 months, or even maybe 6 months. So it shows you there's different ways of coming at it, and you've got to adapt based on your injury history as well. So that's some individual differences. Other things I've got, like environment, and these kind of link back to psychological stuff in terms of so this is kind of getting deeper now, and it is things I consider and work with people a lot in the week. Who are you around? Who are you influenced by? Your role models. What's your upbringing been like? Parents and grandparents. Who do you train with? What's your kind of groups like? And your larger network. Because this all influences your decisions, your choices, your habits. obviously a lot of people are training within the club, and we're building these networks around the Northeast for people to work off each other, and we're trying to recruit good people who want to train and work hard and grow and help and support other people to then build these strong teams and networks. But you might train on your own, or you might not. You might train virtually, so you're not in the Northeast, so I don't necessarily be around to see you a lot. So you need to build that, what we used to call last year, dream teams around you, which is kind of having people you can train with who are similar and supportive of your goals and you're supportive of them, so it's healthy. That's going to lift your standards up. Maybe you've got a role model that is where you want to be and already achieved the times that you've achieved, so then you've got someone to kind of look towards and ask questions about, kind of relate to, and then those can lift your standards up as well. It's having some supportive people around you. They might not be runners, but they kind of listen to what's going on and they give you the right advice, and they're positive, and they kind of fit what you're doing. It might be a close physio by that has, that's known you over a couple of years. They know what your body's like, what you've suffered with, injury history, and they can get you back on path after having some setbacks. So it's getting that team around you is really, really important. And all top athletes and elites, are going to have people around them who fit and tick all those boxes. Have you got any bad habits in terms of training and life? And you got to be honest with that, because that is the stuff you do outside of training is kind of more important than the training you're doing yourself. So if you're going to sleep at 3 a.m, because you're staying up playing Xbox, that's going to damage your recovery. Doesn't matter how many hard sessions you do. If you go and eat McDonald's every day, you're not going to be absorbing the work well, and you're going to get illnesses and stuff like that. So your habits outside of training matter a lot, and it's stuff you need to talk about with your coach and the people around you. Things like this also affects your team. So how do you treat others? Are you supportive? Are you respectful? Do you encourage other people around the club in terms of helping them in their goals? As a coach, and this is my business, and I want to see a difference in the community, and I want to see people helping each other. So I'm really big on, I would put more into people who support others, because I see that as a very important trait in terms of the people that I want to come into this, want to get into this club. So yeah, people that support others and build them up, and and help them. We can all achieve so much more when everybody does that. Last page, I've got some mentality things when I'm coaching people and trying to move them forward. I've put, how good are they training alone? I see this as a very important aspect. How good are you on a rainy Wednesday night on your own at an industrial estate or something, doing a session that's set, and powering through with a positive attitude and getting the most out of yourself? That determines a lot, and if you can crack that, then you can start to go places. How do you react and act when under pressure? So that might be when you're coming back from a bad race, you've had some tough sessions, tough things in your life. How do you segment that and get on with the job and what you want to do? How you attack that kind of goes back to how much you want it and how much, where's the priority in your life in terms of running. How do you behave when challenged with critical feedback or constructive feedback? Some people are good with this, some people are bad. Some people don't ask for feedback, some people avoid feedback. Some people avoid my input because, for various reasons. But if you can take, the true advice and what people think around you, people who you trust and believe in, you're going to get more out of it. So you've got to take feedback from people and the people who's closest to you. Do you just turn up, you just show up, get through the work, or do you turn up to dominate, as Bill Beswick would say? Do you turn up to do the bare minimum, get through it, or do you turn up to, with high standards, positive attitude, lift everyone around you, get everything out of the session that you need to get, do the extras, you get them out of the car, you do the extra stretches, you have your protein shake waiting in the car, you're going home and do hardcore, and you're on it, and you help others, you clap others in at the end. You know, are you bringing that attitude, or are you bringing the just get by, session's done, get in the car and go home? You know, I'm going to put more into the first person, and everyone else is going to support more of the first person. You're going to go further. Do you do what you say and say what you do? So, you know, do you set out what you want? Do you set out what you're going to do, follow it through, turn up, show up, do it, and do that week in, week out? You know, it's an important trait, and it's a definition of a high performance person. The last question is, do they believe in the coach? Yes or no? You know, you might be doing the work and not believe in the coach, but then you got to have those conversations. You know, you got to remember the stuff, whether it's I'm writing it or someone else is writing it. You know, if you're talking about other things here, but you've got to believe in the program. Otherwise, or you got to at least be honest that you don't believe in the program and speak to the people. But remember, the person who's writing your training is trying to get you to go to the next from A to B, and in their head, you know, they're considering all the things going on. They might be looking at, you know, all these things I've talked about and all the things I've talked about on the previous videos, to try and work out what this next week looks like for you, the next couple of weeks look like for you, and how you move closer to your goal. They want the best for you. They're not going to invest the time to not want the best for you into just, you know, write anything down, because what's the point of putting all this work in? So, you know, you may as well follow it through. But remember, the coaches and whoever's writing the training is going to challenge your ideas a lot. If you want to get better and better and better, you're going to do things that you don't want to do, things that you feel challenged by, maybe not motivated by at times. So you've got to place the trust in that person, and you've got to have honest conversations, you know, and you know, give your feedback to the coach on what's going on. And if the coach doesn't know about some of these things I've talked about, because you're kind of holding it back yourself, you know, you need to be open and honest about everything that's going on for the coach then to understand what the next step may be. Otherwise, we're just playing a bit of a guessing game, aren't we? So in terms of thinking about progressing an athlete, writing plans for athletes, or coaching yourself, that's the stuff I think about all the time for every different athlete. And what we're going to get you to do is a practical task to end this first module, where we've just kind of covered a lot of different bits, haven't we? Kind of the basics, is to get you to write a 2-week training plan for a specific athlete, and I'm going to kind of review it, give you some pointers, and then I'm going to set like a scenario up, and yeah, you've got to carry that out. It's optional, of course. I know you're all busy, but if you kind of want some feedback from me on your plan writing, things you've considered, or you want to ask some questions about some extra stuff that we haven't covered that may help with writing that 2-week plan, do get in touch and we'll talk about it on the Scholar page. But I hope that was useful, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter as well. Okay, see you soon, guys.